the civilians are paying the brunt of this war that started. We are being told that the death toll in Israel on where the 7th October terror attack took place by Hamas, the death toll in total now has risen to 1,400. Many women, children among them. Remember, many of them are still taken as hostages, as captives by Hamas. 3,500 in total have been injured, while Israel continues to target the Hamas terror hideouts. There also, of course, civilians are being targeted. In this Israel-Hamas war, the total death toll appears to be closing to 4,000. 4,000 people dead since the past 1 week, from whether it's in Israel or in Gaza, whether it's the soldiers or the civilians in Israel and in Gaza. These are the death toll that are taking place. I'm going across now to ground update from Israel. Joining me, Ashutosh Mishra. Ashutosh, you know, eventually, while it is between Hamas and the Israel government, Israel military, it's the civilians, women and children who we can see both in Israel and Gaza who are suffering. 1,400 is the death toll that Israel is facing presently.
And the numbers, even the other side in Gaza, is no less than. And then, Pooja, you know, eventually it happens in every war. Whenever there is a conflict, end of the day, it is the civilians which are suffered the worst. The Israelis have lost so many people. And let me tell you where I am. I'm here just near the Gaza border. And this is the Reim area, the Reim kibbutz in Be'er-Sheva. This is exactly where the Nova festival is being carried out. This is the area. This is where the Nova festival was happening that day when Hamas, you know, their fighters came with a glider. And you see all the military movements happening here. There is only and only military, no civilians allowed to be the civil vehicle or anything. This is where, and this is where the party was happening. In this open area, the people were celebrating. And this, all that you see, that's all army. This is all these bunkers are now being only, you have the armies living here. The army has made a massive deployment. Let me bring you some images of, you see the bunkers, tanks, everything placed out here in this area. And that's a massive deployment. This entire area falls under army. We have been, looks like the vehicles are being frisked and searched. There are the checkpost army, and beyond this point, because the civil movement's not allowed, only the army movement is permitted to go to that area, because there are still threat and after 5 o'clock local time, there is a massive rockets come almost you know, every 30 minutes. So still those areas are being attacked. Now we have been permitted to been cleared to go forward. So there you see. Do you see the tanks? These are the tanks of Israel, and from here also they fire. And these are Bakhtarband vehicles, the armored vehicles which are advancing towards the Gaza. So clearly all these borders are being you know, targeted by Israeli posts, and multiple stretches wherever there is a vulnerability. This is where the army plans to you know, get inside and probably to see if there is any further vulnerability, because all these areas cannot be left open. There you see this all army Israeli with a massive deployment. And let me tell you, India today is the first channel to reach here at ground zero at this position, because this has been totally restricted. You all the vehicles see, people have left the town. This is now totally a ghost town. These all vehicles belongs to the either civilians or the people from the forces, the armed forces, Israeli defense forces. Since all they have left this area, all these cars are now lying in open. Barely few people who are allowed, or mostly those who have been in the other parts, are still going to the places. So you have to see the armored vehicles being taken from there's a Be'er-Sheva. The Be'er-Sheva is a big town. All you see only the armed forces on the roads, heavily armed. And now because this remains one, and this is exactly, you know, the gliders that was used. Perhaps the air territory was never violated before the Hamas, and this also exposes the Zionist state's preparation as far as their air defense is concerned, that this number of the gliders and the terrorists came down and they just opened fire blindly, killed innocent civilians. This was totally, the state was caught unprepared. Now let me take you another back images. These are the armored vehicles, gun mount on that, heavy machine gun, light machine guns. This entire infantry and the artillery battalion is placed all over Pooja, this area where there was a celebration happening. And within minutes when the gliders came down, there you see, you cannot count the number of tanks. If I say you, if I go say there are more than 100 tanks, I cannot count the number of tanks which are placed here in these images. You can see that is the preparation of Israel here. And then look at this, all these trucks are placed because as and when needed, these carriers will take the tanks further. This is the Gaza area. Now you see, just barely few kilometers from here is the terrain of Gaza. All you see only and only the movements of the armed forces, and this was the place of a Noah festival. This is exactly the aerial terrain, and we are further. Look at this, the tanks are roaring in the desert. This is all major wing. All you see the dust, it is because of the tanks to my left are advancing. Let me get you more clear images of the tanks here. See, these tanks are advancing further. They are marching from this area, Reem to Gaza. Look at this dust. Now there is totally invisibility. You cannot move further. But I get you the images of these tanks which are roaring from Gaza, armored vehicle, heavy machine guns, and they all are constantly moving from Gaza to the Reem area. You see, Pooja, these tanks. These are the exclusive images from the Reem area where the terror group unleashed massive firing, killed hundreds of the civilians.
Ashutosh, a quick word from you. This is very close. Is this very close to the Gaza Strip border? Because clearly this also then reflects that the tanks are moving forward. They're getting ready.
This is all getting ready, advancing, but also some before you enter in the troop there are certain preparations required. So if I could tell you aerially, this is exactly few hundred meters where you have the Gaza border to this side, but via road is a different journey. We are approaching towards the Reem area because straight forward from this route actually the civilians or even the journalists are not allowed to go to the line, but we are taking another route to reach that point. But yes, as you rightly said, it is barely few meters or say the walking distance where the Gaza territory begins. But all these tanks which are armored advancing towards this is an anticipatory measure, also patrolling, and it is gearing up that as and when, because the first attempt will be done from the Sado border, another they are cornering the Gaza from Ashkelon, but this will be the very critical point because this is the one of the biggest open terrain to enter in the Gaza, particularly from the western front, so that from the eastern front. So this makes really very challenging for the Israeli troops to carry out strikes and carry out advancing positions. So clearly you see these images where how the army is preparing to enter Gaza when the defense forces, the government takes such call, because already northern part have been warned to evacuate as soon as possible. Multiple points and in fact even in the Lebanon border 4-kilometer area have been restricted for civilian movements, looking at what had happened, the massive escalation between Hezbollah and the Israeli forces.